Welcome to Happy Hour Films at the Oscars. As you can see by Mike's background and my background, we are clearly standing in Los Angeles right now on remote for both of us. We're both at different parts of the theater. And I think Mike's actually inside because that looks like the stage behind you, Mike.
Yeah, see, the Academy finally came to their senses and invited true movie professionals to come discuss the best movies of the year.
Yes, the future creators and artists behind Splooge, the motion picture.
Yes.
We are honored to actually be here, and I can look to my right and see the my fellow nominees and our fellow Hollywood hotshots, I guess we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Amy Schumer for some reason. She crashed the party, it looks like. For some reason, she got invited. Don't know why. She's not funny, talented, or an actress. So maybe somebody, there's been some holes in the gates. I don't know. I don't know how she got in, let alone us. So I guess anybody should be able to open the walk into the Oscars.
Now, Ross, because we're coming in kind of partway through the Oscars, we didn't get a chance to do our whole red carpet thing. So why don't you tell the audience who you're wearing right now?
I am wearing what looks to be Valentino, I think. It's actually off of their Amazon collection. It's the most comfortable tux I've ever worn in my life. And I've worn 4 tuxes in my life.
The color suits you.
Yeah, this is just amazing. And I think the color is great. It brings out my eyes and it pops against the gold of the red carpet behind me. And Mike, I see that you are wearing probably the most coveted designer in Hollywood right now. And that would be your shirt.
Yes. Under my beautiful pink blazer and red bow tie, I do have a Happy Hour Films t-shirt on.
There it is. That's right.
And frankly, it's made out of the best material. We've had some amazing designers in to work on it.
Yes. Yeah, we've flown them in from all over the place. And I can't remember anything actually exciting happening at the Oscars recently because it's been quite some time since anyone's allowed anything spontaneous to ever happen. So yeah. It's I think the last one was when Ellen's contrived ordering of pizza happened, but it looks like right now they're getting ready to present because I have the live broadcast happening right next to me.
And my TV does not quite allow for that.
Well, Mike, you're in the theater itself, so they probably wouldn't want like extra broadcasts going on. So they want competing broadcasts inside the theater, but it looks like I have Daniel Kaluuya and somebody. It looks like we're going to get the best. Looks like we're going to get the best supporting actress Oscar is being presented right now. I couldn't tell you who these people are because I didn't see anything other than the best picture movies. So we're looking at Jessie Buckley in The Lost Daughter. Ariana DeBose, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Miss DeBose, in West Side Story. She plays Bernardo's fiance. And then Judi Dench. She's the best part of the movie. She's great.
She is.
And then we got Judi Dench in Belfast. Her cameo in Belfast, for some reason, was fucking nominated. Kirsten Dunst in The Power of the Dog. And
then that movie.
Yeah, and then Anjanae Ellis. I think it's Anjanae is how you pronounce her name. Anjanae Ellis from King Richard, which is one of the best picture movies that I didn't watch because I love Will Smith and all, but I don't want to encourage his give me an Oscar campaign. I just don't want to do it. And I feel like with that movie, that's exactly what we're doing.
Now, with this, so the character Anita from West Side Story has a long tradition of winning Academy Awards. The actress that played her originally is one of the people that has, I think, won all 4 Academy Awards, won an Oscar, a Tony, a Grammy, and which one am I missing?
It's a Grammy, an Oscar, and
a Tony.
It's an EGOT. It's Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and a Tony.
Okay.
I was going to say GOAT. I was like, wait, what's the A one? That one doesn't work. It's EGOT. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure she's fine. I wouldn't be angry if she won. Like, I'd be fine with it. But like, as long as Kirsten Dunst doesn't win it, because that Power of the Dog, is not a good movie.
It's not.
It's a sneaky sequel to Brokeback Mountain, and I don't appreciate that they hid that fact from everybody. All right, so Daniel Kaluuya is about to open the envelope, and it looks like we got West Side Story Girl won. So we have
I think she was the odds-on favorite.
Yep. So we have Ariana DeBose or DeBose or I don't know. I'm sorry for Ariana won. There you go. And I don't mean Grande. Although for some reason she's probably there too. Because we've had a Beyonce performance because sure, why not? It's the Oscars. Why not have Beyonce?
And I don't hate that pick for Best Supporting Actress. I thought she did very well in the movie.
It's fine.
Don't hate the pick.
Nah, she's good. I mean, West Side Story's direction was amazing because it's Spielberg, but everything else about it didn't need to happen. Like the whole movie didn't need to exist. You know, it's one more retelling of West Side Story we didn't need, but it's also the trillionth retelling of Romeo and Juliet we didn't need. You know, we just don't need that story anymore.
Also, the guy that played Tony in it was. I know there's like the issues against him personally, but I also just thought he was not good for the role of Tony.
It's Ansel Elgort, it's Baby Driver, you know, and he's had some accusations. I think they're still ongoing, but they're from like 5 or 6 years ago, I think. And don't know what this deal is with that. I know it involves him and a minor of some kind, but I'm not going to try to speak on that. And now, as everyone's going to see, the famous fishbowl that Mike drinks his beers out of.
As you can see, only the best glass designer, Dave and Bousters.
a foreign couple of brothers from the Philadelphia region, I believe they're called. But Mike, now that you've taken a sip, and I've been taking sips all over the place, we didn't even do what we usually do on this show. So instead of what we're wearing, what are you drinking, Mike?
Okay, so I am drinking Forgotten Boardwalk Brewing in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I'm drinking Galloping Ghost, and it is a Scotch ale. Now, I don't know why, but I feel like if you go to the Oscars, you're going to have a Scotch, which is why I picked it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something about Sean Connery. The Scotsman that was always there.
And Sean Connery now wins Best Supporting Actor for Highlander 2.
All the other performances were so lackluster, they went back in time nearly 35 years to try to give an Oscar to Sean Connery for a movie he really wasn't in. He was only kind of in for Ramirez. Oh, and 20 minutes later, her acceptance speech is over, so we at least have those to look forward to. They cut out like 20 stupid categories, but I guess they're going to let them go for 15 minutes when they talk.
That's what the last thing that was interesting at the Oscars was when Ricky Gervais basically told off all of Hollywood. That was the Oscars, right?
I think it was both. It was definitely the Golden Globes. I know that.
That might have been the Golden Globes.
I don't know if he ever did. I don't know if they ever tried to have him host the Oscars, but he would have definitely pulled the same shtick had they had him do that. All right, so Mike, we got a commercial break here. I am drinking. I've gone back to Zed's. Zed's Brewing in Marlton, and now I'm drinking there. Zed's on the Front Porch, which is an American lager. And what's more American than giving shiny gold statues to people who pretend to be other people for our entertainment? That, I think, is one of the most quintessentially American things ever, even though all of these people that will probably win tonight are not American, except for Will Smith, who they're just going to hand a makeup Oscar to for not giving him one 21 years ago when he did Ali. But, all right, so we're in commercial. Let's discuss. Our whole plan tonight was to discuss the best pictures, essentially. Like, this whole sort of watching the Oscars at the same time didn't really come about until like tonight. Yeah. So why don't we discuss the best picture nominees? Mike, what did you watch of the 10 films that are nominated?
So I watched, I'm pulling up the full list.
I was going to say, Mike, this is now a visual medium so people can see you Googling. Well, I can give you the list. Here's the list. So Licorice Pizza.
Watched.
West Side Story.
Watched.
Belfast.
Watched.
Nightmare Alley.
Watched.
Dune.
Watched.
King Richard.
Did not watch.
Drive My Car.
Watched.
Don't Look Up.
Watched.
Power of the Dog.
Watched.
Coda.
Did not watch.
Okay. So you said the craziest thing to me, which was you actually watched Drive My Car.
Yeah. Hey, you know I'm all about Japanese, Korean films, so
yeah, which is weird because I would have thought you would have put up like the whatever like the Japanese theater equivalent is of the Oscars like behind you. Like I don't know if that even exists, but I'm sure they have something over there like that, like a big prominent theater. But so you watched Drive My Car. Now this is people who don't know is a 3-hour movie about a guy driving, listening to his dead wife read Uncle Vanya.
Yeah.
And that's about it, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, there's really not a lot to it. Like, you don't actually get the story introduced until halfway through the movie, it feels like.
Jesus Christ, an hour and a half in.
Oh my God. I actually liked it better than a handful of the other nominees, but I generally did not like the Best Picture nominees overall this year. There's a couple, or there's two I like. One I loved, one I liked, 2 or 3 that I thought were okay, and then the rest were garbage.
Yeah. The 2 that I didn't watch, well, 3 I didn't watch. One I said King Richard I didn't watch because, like I said, the previous Will Smith thing. I don't want to support his Give Me an Oscar campaign. Like, do a movie where you're playing an actual character, not a real life person that you can just mimic. And then I can give you an attempt at an Oscar.
See, he tried that with American Beauty, and it just, or not American Beauty. What was it? Is the one where he gets visited, and they think he's going to get visited by like 3 ghosts. One of them is
The Legend of Bagger Vance. Oh wait, no, he's the ghost in that one. Sorry.
Yeah, I forget what it was called, but it wasn't great.
I mean, the last I haven't. I'm just going off the top of my head here. The last Oscar-winning movie he was involved with, I think, was Suicide Squad. I think that was the last.
They did win for makeup or something.
It was like makeup or effects or something like that. Just the fact that movie won an Oscar.
Yeah.
He should have been nominated for that. You know, it's like if you're going to give it to him for playing Venus and Serena Williams' dad, you know, fuck you. He's just playing an old version of Will Smith at that point, who happens to be a jerk off, you know.
Not American Beauty, Collateral Beauty.
Collateral Beauty, that's it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that movie. Then there was like Pursuit of Happiness was another one where he tried. But that again, that's another based off a true story, you know.
Now I don't hate like Pursuit of Happiness. I actually thought that was a pretty good movie.
That's where he gets to show off his wonderful mimicking of Denzel's crying but not crying face. You know, it's like the stone-faced cry. He does that a lot. Denzel is perfect. He's the perfect one that does that. But Will Smith also does it really well. Unfortunately, his version of it became a meme. But Denzel's is perfect.
It's great. Denzel is nominated for Best Actor in a Leading Role for his rendition on Macbeth.
Yes, which I've heard that the tragedy of Macbeth is supposed to be amazing.
It was really good. I did watch it.
I'm actually shocked it wasn't nominated, you know, for Best Picture, because that's got almost everything that the Academy looks for. It's got, you know, a retelling of a Shakespeare epic, you know, it's got a creative spin on that epic, and it's got every Oscar winner ever in it, apparently, you know.
I have a fundamental issue. This applies to Macbeth, and it applies to West Side Story for those movies being nominated for Best Picture. Like, I have an issue with retellings or like, oh, West Side Story's Best Picture. I'm like, well, yeah, it won it in 1960. It's been one of the most successful running plays on Broadway. It's a tried and true. We know this story works. We know it. Don't award it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, even though Spielberg does direct the hell out of it, like my biggest problems, obviously, other than the fact that it didn't need to be retold, was just the simple fact that, yeah, great. There's a lot of Oscar hallmarks in that too, and it's the racism like in that. It's fundamental to the story,
and that's part of the reason it did have to be retold. So yeah, the story is fundamentally racist, and
It has to be like, and that's the whole point of it, you know.
But I think they wanted to do, because the first one, most of the sharks were in brown face, like they were not.
Yeah, they weren't actually Puerto Rican actors,
Yeah.
you know. Well, and the lead who plays Maria, right? She's not actually Puerto Rican either, I don't believe. She's some other Latin or Latina descent. And but yeah, it's that, the racism, and then there's the fact that, and I'm all for representation. It's great. We definitely need more of it in Hollywood. But to have a trans character in that movie do literally nothing except scream racial slurs at one point, and then just kind of be around, just generally being around. And I don't mean that like in a weird way. She's literally, or they are literally just in the movie. They're shown on screen once or twice, and then they disappear. And then they show up in the background of a shot. Then Spielberg focuses on them for another shot. Then they scream racial slurs in the jail scene, and then they disappear. And then they come back at the end. They have 2 lines, and then they run away into the night. And it's, what are we doing? Like, Spielberg, you clearly wanted to include this character for some reason. Why didn't you include that character? You know, it's the irony of inclusion. You wanted to include them, yet you did not. You know, even though they're on screen.
That's the other thing with West Side Story. In general, who are you supposed to like? Tell me one character that you are supposed to at least be remotely fond of.
I mean, the romantics will say Tony and Maria because it's a love that transcends blah, blah, blah. And no, Ansel Elgort is not that good of an actor to play this role of, and she is not that good of an actress to play the role. You know, it should have been the sister.
And then also, if you just look at the characters, one killed a guy, the other fucked him immediately after he killed her brother.
That was the weirdest scene. That was so weird. It was like we were watching it. My wife and Karen and I were watching it, and it was right after it happened. And then all of a sudden, it was like, okay, we're sad that he's dead. You're sad and all that. I guess it's sex time now. Because it was almost immediately after.
And it's not like he stabbed him, so there's blood on his hands, and he did not stop to wash off.
Right, exactly. It's so bad. And best sound just won, and who cares what it was? I don't know. I thought that was one of the categories.
Won best sound, didn't it? I thought I saw that.
I don't know. I thought it was one of the categories that they dumped to the last night's broadcast, you know, but oh well, yeah. I guess we got to get these guys in there. Because I guess they're responsible for the music tonight's show anyway, so you might as well put them on the big dance. But yeah, when that sex scene happened, now here's the thing. All right, here's what we got to get into. Every Oscar movie, usually, and it's more often than not, has some sort of weird Oscar-y moment to it. And by Oscar-y moment, I'll point to the most obvious one in Shape of Water. When it's woman fucks fish man, woman fingers herself in the bathtub in the beginning of the start the movie. Like, it's weird shit like that. And then with these movies, Licorice Pizza doesn't have anything like that. It's just about Hollywood, essentially, like adjacent to Hollywood. Because the kid, Philip Seymour Hoffman,
Pizza's fundamental story is in itself an Oscar moment. It's a 15-year-old guy trying to seduce a 26-year-old girl.
Which, creepy, still illegal, even in 1973. Yeah. But Cooper Hoffman was great. He is definitely in the running to becoming his dad at one point. You know, his dad was the late Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's on his way. I could see the magnetic personality of this guy. He's got star quality. Alana Haim, on the other hand, who is of the band Haim, I don't care what anybody says, and everyone's saying that she's a star in making. No, she is fundamentally unlikable. Maybe it's just this role, but she is fundamentally unlikable as that character. And if that's her acting and making her unlikable, more power to her. She's going to be a star. But if it's not, and it's just her, which it is because the character is named the same thing as her, come on. What are we doing?
Like, the movie itself, like, I don't get all the praise it's getting. I really don't.
It's a 2.5 hour jerk off session.
It was boring, so fucking boring.
Well, you know who it wouldn't be boring to? Gen Xers and early, young boomers who grew up in the 70s. And guess what? That's who made the movie. That's who the movie is being awarded little gold statues by. You know?
I mean, even like there are period movies that are like Everybody Wants Some. 1980s college baseball team.
Yeah.
Much more enjoyable to watch.
Right.
Characters are likable.
Yeah. And it's entertaining. Like, I don't care. The only part, there were two parts that I enjoyed of Licorice Pizza. One of which was Bradley Cooper as John Peters. I thought that was hilarious. I thought he was good. He was great as just this asshole, but I wanted to see him completely destroy them for, as he says, did you fuck up my house? And yes, they did. So I wanted to see him just beat the hell out of Cooper Hoffman. But then the weird thing is with that movie, there's another part that I was laughing at, which I don't know why I found entertaining, was Leonardo DiCaprio's dad as a waterbed salesman.
Yeah.
I found that guy endlessly entertaining. I don't know why, because he's only in the movie for about a minute and a half. But I found him to be one of the best parts of the movie.
This movie could not pick a fucking lane. They'd introduce a plot thing, it'd go away. They'd introduce a new plot thing, it'd go away. It seemed like an eclectic gathering of ideas loosely tied around the central focus of a 15-year-old wanting to fuck a 26-year-old.
Right. And it being an almost like one of those situations where it's like, if I just persist more enough, she'll eventually come around. And it's like, that's not how it works, dude. That in the 70s, that's the mentality. But come on, man, that does not hold up. And Paul Thomas Anderson, you got to know that doesn't hold up. But the thing is, it's everyone that says this movie's just a genius about a filmmaking are the people that grew up in that time where they're just fondly looking at it from nostalgic eyes. And it's like, look at it from a modern filmmaking point of view. There's no story. And if that's the point, perfect. Great. I love it because it had no story.
You nailed it. I hated it, but you nailed
Destroyed it. Yeah. But there's just so much to not like about the movie, especially the fact that he's supposed to be 15 and he somehow starts two businesses in the span of, I'm guessing, 3 months.
And then also, like, very early in the movie, she starts to date one of the guys that he works with.
That dude, that actor, I'm gonna look up his name because he's great. He's in the Righteous Gemstones. He plays Gideon in the Righteous Gemstones. He's awesome. I love that actor. He's just
how old was he supposed to be?
That's the thing. I think he's one of the other child actors. But the thing is, he's a child actor that's become that's actually transitioning to be like an actual actor, to being an adult actor. Whereas Cooper Hoffman is still going out for roles that little kids would be going out with, because there's audition scenes where he's against like 10-year-olds. I think that's meant to show like just the fickleness of Hollywood and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, no, it's just dumb because clearly he's talented and everyone knows him. In the nepotism of Hollywood, given that he is Philip Seymour Hoffman's son too, which is a double irony, the nepotism of Hollywood, he would absolutely still have a career going forward if he was half as likable as these people think he is, and that's one of the more annoying things. The other annoying thing was seeing Tom Waits attempting to be an actor, and we got to stop making that guy a thing. We just got to stop. I mean, I don't care how many hipsters I anger with that, but we got to stop trying the Tom Waits experiment. It doesn't work. He's not talented. I don't care what you say.
The one line that actually had me cracking up was when she walks into the house in like her bra and underwear, and the dad just goes, "Hey, what the fuck?"
What the fuck? Yeah, and that's like her actual dad too, which made it even funnier because apparently the rumors are true. That was him ad-libbing that. That was just his genuine reaction. It's like, well, that's perfect. But it's Skylar Gisondo is the actor's name, and he plays Gideon in Righteous Gemstones. But as I'm scrolling through, there's two scenes that this movie is rightfully getting shit for. And it's when John Michael Higgins, who plays Jerry Frick, the owner of Mikado, he has two Japanese wives in this movie. They speak Japanese because they're Japanese. He speaks to them in like Mickey Rooney, Breakfast at Tiffany's, stereotypical Asian. Oh yes, sir, like that, and it comes out of nowhere. It has no bearing on anything, and it disappears
like
without
South
leaving
Park
a mark.
does it, but does it ironically, like
right? But
like
at least in South Park, right? But at least in South Park, he's still a character and he's still critical to the story.
Yeah.
There's these two scenes you can remove from this movie and make no difference whatsoever. It's almost as if Paul Thomas Anderson wanted to be offensive to Asian people and then then did it, you know?
Yeah, there's not much redeeming about Licorice Pizza in my eyes.
I did not enjoy it. It annoyed me to see more and more actors I like show up in it, like John C. Reilly playing a one-off uncredited little cameo as that dude like in the booth in the job fair or whatever. And of course, Mary Elizabeth Ellis, the waitress from It's Always Sunny, plays Cooper Hoffman's mom, and I just wanted so much more from her, and she deserves so much more than this garbage.
This entire movie, I was like, hey, these actors are all in it. This should be good. And then they're all in it for approximately 5 minutes at most.
Combined screen time. Yeah. But yeah, it's rough. But then, of course, let's talk about a movie that we actually did like Dune, which if you're going to look, if in my opinion, you're looking at these best picture movies, that's your movie right there. That's your winner.
So Dune is the only movie. Nightmare Alley kind of fits the bill too, but what I think a best picture should be.
Yeah.
Like it's not a best picture if it's not accessible to 90% of movie-going audiences. If 90% of people who enjoy going to the movies leave the movies going, what the fuck did I just watch, in a bad way, then it shouldn't be best picture. Birdman is a prime example of what I'm talking about.
God. But no, that one
I have yet to meet someone who liked Birdman.
Right, but that was about Hollywood, done by a guy that they were trying to make a thing. He's Alfonso Cuarón. He's the guy that not Alfonso. It's not Alfonso Cuarón. It's somebody else. It's the Revenant guy. Yeah,
Alejandro.
That guy. Inarritu. Yeah, whatever. He's a hack. But he also did the Revenant, and it's like, yeah, Birdman won because it's about Hollywood. It's about actors being in crisis with themselves. And it's done by a guy who thinks he's an auteur. You know, let's do a movie as one take or a hidden one take. And yeah, cool. That's all well and good, but your movie sucks, bro. You know, your movie sucks. And you wasted two great actors in it, in Michael Keaton and Emma Stone, you know, and it's just fuck you. But whereas Dune with Denis Villeneuve, that dude deserves all the Oscars because he is a fucking director.
So when I look at what should be a best picture, is it an excellent movie? Obviously, first and foremost, Dune is. Is the directing great? It is.
Phenomenal.
Was it an ambitious movie that accomplished what it was trying to? It did. Was the acting good? Yes. Were Absolutely. The sets good? Yes. Does everyone I've ever talked to about this movie at least kind of like it? Yes.
I mean, $400 million would tell you that people have seen it. I mean, I'm looking at the other box offices for the rest of the nominees, and here we go. I'm just going to name the other movies that might compare to Dune. I'm sorry, I have to wait a long time to get down to the double-digit millions because West Side Story is the closest one at $64 million.
Now, I do think so. I do know I know a lot of people stream Don't Look Up.
Well, you had to. It was a Netflix movie. Yeah. You know, it was a Netflix movie. But
I don't know. So, like, in terms of money, I'm still not sure how that adjusts for earnings.
The number I saw, box office wise, because it does. I think the rule still stands. You have to have this thing in the theaters for like a week or two. Mm-hmm. Don't Look Up made $791,863. $791,863.
And I know, but what I'm saying with the streaming is I'm not sure that quite accurately shows. Like, I think in a year where movies were still coming out in theaters, I would think that would be like a 40 or $50 million box office movie.
I mean, they could have at least waited and released it like normally in a theater. You know, just do that if you want to. If you think this is going to be your Oscar movie, because okay, hey, let's talk about Don't Look Up. I hated that movie. I fucking hated it. But the thing is, I agreed with everything it was saying. I just hated the way it was saying it.
Oh, it's like the most contrived, like, it's like a guy with a very low IQ looked at everything going on in the world and he was like, hey, I understand this. I'm going to write it down.
It's Adam McKay being up his own ass. Mm-hmm. And like, look how great I am. Look how funny I used to be. But this time I'm no longer funny. And everything in that movie that's supposed to be funny, like Jonah Hill's asshole first kid, at this point, I don't care what anybody says about the real Jonah Hill. I'm sure he's to somebody he's a nice guy. He's just too good at being a complete dickhead on screen to not be a dickhead off screen. And I get it. It's supposed to, like, Meryl Streep is supposed to be Donald Trump and Sarah Palin combined. And he's supposed to be every Trump kid. But I get it. Like, you don't need to hit me with the mallet that hard, dude. You know,
you have the CEO that's supposed to be like, Jeff Bezos,
it's like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Steve Jobs rolled into one. Yeah. You know, it's like, we get it. And he's on the spectrum. We get it. Like, everyone gets it, dude. But the thing is, you're so condescending. Mm-hmm. You are so over the top. Fuck you. I'm smarter than you and I'm better than you with this message. That even the people that agree with you, I agree with what you're saying. I hate you for saying it the way you're doing it, though. You are going about it all wrong.
Now, I do at least enjoy DiCaprio.
Oh, well, yeah, because he's at least appropriate for the movie. Mm-hmm. You know, Jennifer Lawrence, as much as I don't like her in most things, her character is at least fine for what the movie is. She's reacting like somebody would react in that situation. You'd be like, are you people fucking insane? We're all going to die. Why are you being so casual about this? And she would definitely lose her mind on national television. And then she would be made a meme. She'd be made a pariah, and she would be laughed out, a laughing stock out of modern society, you know? But you don't need to say it the way you're doing it, Adam McKay, because I hate you for doing it. You're a condescending prick.
Yeah, this is definitely like, I have a feeling that this movie is going to be like the movie people go, how did that not win Best Picture?
I hope it's not, because if it wins, it's Green Book again, is what it is. It's just Green Book again. You know, it's like we feel good because we're quote unquote saying something. Mm-hmm. And we're rewarding those people who were saying it. And it's like, yeah, but it's a terrible movie. And it's awful. The message of it is bad. The delivery of the message is awful. You're just jerking off at this point. You're giving Leonardo another Oscar adjacent movie, you know. You're giving Jennifer Lawrence another Oscar of involved movie, you know. You're giving Adam McKay a movie. Oh, I'm sorry. I must interrupt the fact that we're getting the most important presentation right now from Tony Hawk, Shaun White, and Kelly Slater. You know, those famous actors that everyone has grown up loving as actors.
All I know is I'd rather have Tony Hawk than anyone else you've said so far.
Yeah. I would rather have Tony Hawk read his tweets about people not recognizing him as Tony Hawk than even have Amy Schumer within the limits of the city of Los Angeles. God, I hate her so much.
Yeah,
I cannot stand her. And I don't know why Kelly Slater's there, to be perfectly honest. I don't think he's actually said anything. He's probably just there because he looks like an Oscar statue now. Like, I'm telling people, Google Kelly Slater surfer and tell me he doesn't look like an Oscar statue. But what are we doing? Like, what are we doing with this presentation? Of course they're going to give it to Don't Look Up after all this. It would not shock me if they gave it to Don't Look Up.
So Dune fits the bill of Mad Max Fury Road, the movie that clearly deserves to win it, but won't because it's too much of a blockbuster.
And that's the thing. What is the problem with nominating movies people enjoy.
Yeah.
And like, I'm looking at the list here. And like I've said before, the reason I didn't watch Drive My Car, not because it's Japanese, not because it's a foreign language movie, the simple fact that it's 3 hours of a guy driving, listening to his dead wife read a book or a play or whatever. I have no interest in seeing that. I'm sure 3 hours later, I'd be like, well, that was a movie.
And then like a real good example of why I actually kind of chose to watch it is Parasite. I thought Parasite absolutely deserved best.
Parasite ruled. That was a great movie.
It was incredible. But no, Drive My Car was 6 out of 10 at best.
I mean, and then there's something like Coda. Coda, 1.1 million at the box office. It was exclusively on Apple TV. Like, I get it, Apple. You're trying to enter the streaming wars. I get it. But I don't need a Disney Channel Hallmark feel-good movie about children of deaf adults. Again, all for inclusion, but do not give me this schmaltzy horse shit. I don't want it.
You know, and then again, I was looking at that, and I like Sound of Metal. I love Sound of Metal.
See, I'm on the other end of it. It's like Sound of Metal was just fine, and I get it. It works perfectly for that, even though the title in and of itself to me is wrong because he does not play metal. He plays literally just sound of metal, you know, not heavy metal. It's just the sound of what metal scraping on metal is. But
sound of what Yoko Ono would have been like if she made music
if she were actually allowed to keep making music until like that's the one thing American world society got right is collectively ignoring her music after 1969 or whatever. But there's so much I don't care about. And then when it comes to something like The Power of the Dog. All right. Power of the Dog. It's a Western, quote unquote, even though it was filmed in New Zealand. It stars a cowboy who's actually a British man, you know, Benedict Cumberbatch, famously a cowboy character. And then
Sherlock Holmes is a cowboy, right?
Of course he is.
Or Dr. Stephen Strange.
Cowboy Strange. Yeah, we all know him as Cowboy Strange. But that whole movie, Jesse Plemons is just Jesse Plemons in that movie. He's not playing a character. He's just Jesse Plemons. Kirsten Dunst is doing her normal crying acting that she always does. Benedict Cumberbatch's movie is him clearly being a repressed gay man, not able to be actually gay around his cowboy buddies, even though everything they do is very homoerotic. Here's the best Oscar moment in the movie. He masturbates while smelling his dead mentor / boy ex-boyfriend's scarf. And he does it in this like secret field that he has, like in this weird clearing of trees. There you go. There's your Oscar moment. But the rest of the movie is just boring. It's boring, and it's Brokeback Mountain 2, except Heath Ledger is already dead when we start our film. You know, that's it. Cody Smith-McPhee is fine for the character he plays, but his story arc doesn't really go anywhere. He just starts off being made fun of, then becomes a cowboy, and then in the biggest part of the movie that I thought they should have at least spent a little more time supporting, he may or may not have purposely killed Benedict Cumberbatch's character.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, wait,
it was anthrax from the dead animal?
The anthrax from the dead cow that he pulled the pelt off of, which we are told numerous times Benedict Cumberbatch doesn't fuck with. He doesn't fuck with dead cows because of anthrax. He only takes it living or whatever. And right there, so you're like, oh, was this like a sneaky revenge thing for Benedict Cumberbatch hating Cody Smith-McPhee's mom? And then like making fun of him? Is that what that was? But then why were they best friends like for a little bit in this movie? He didn't even show like ulterior looks or devious faces or anything. Like he just looked like he was being a cowboy for a while. You know, what are we doing? You can't sneakily add a movie to this boring piece of shit at the very end.
Now, one thing I can say for Power of the Dog has one redeeming quality. The scenery in it looks fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, it's great. Cinematography, A+, awesome. New Zealand looks great as Montana, you know, but it's just so boring. And again, like all of these movies except Belfast, so long.
Yeah.
So long. I mean, Dune needed to be almost 3 hours.
Yeah, because it was like I never found myself looking at the clock with Dune.
Never. And the best part is it's only part one. So like he took his time, unlike David Lynch, who I love that movie for how bad and terrible and weird it is because it's David Lynch. The dude's the man. But that original 80s Dune is it's no good. But if he was given,
this is almost the science fiction, science fantasy version of like Lord of the Rings. Like he Peter Jackson the hell out of it. He took something that people thought was not like you could not make a good movie out of because of how in depth it was, and he put it to the screen perfectly.
Unadaptable is the famous word thrown around that book, Frank Herbert's book. Unadaptable.
If you don't know, Dune is like the science fiction novel.
Yeah, it inspired. Most of it is Star Wars, ripped off by George Lucas to become Star Wars. You know, it's one of those books where you need a long time to develop the story and tell it properly, which weirdly enough, go figure, Denis Villeneuve is getting the opportunity to do. And part one, successful as hell. You know, part two, probably going to be more so because people will be back in the theater to see it.
Which he also gets my pick for the best director. Like Dune is my best picture. Villanueva. Now, the one movie that I almost considered picking as best director was Tick Tick Boom.
Who directed that? I know it's Garfield. Garfield got nominated for best actor.
Yeah, it was. I want to say Lin-Manuel. Yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That is him. Yeah, that is Lin-Manuel Miranda.
That was actually probably my second or third favorite movie that was like getting nominations. It wasn't nominated for Best Picture, but Garfield got nominated for Best Actor, and he is my pick for best actor in a leading role. Garfield would get my pick for that movie.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the broadcast right now. Dos Orequitos from Encanto is being played right now, and cool, great song to pick from that movie. It's the perfect Oscar song from that movie because it's sad, depressing, and it's the arty song. You know, so many better songs from it though.
That brings up another major problem I have with the Oscars, which is the best animated feature film award, because I feel like it almost detracts from animated feature films because they weren't good enough to compete with the live action films. Now
they consistently make more money, they consistently make more people happy, and they consistently have everyone talking about them.
Now there is the argument to be made that it's a different medium. Animated films and live action films are a different medium and should be judged differently. And to that I will respond, okay, but then the best picture should be called the best live action picture, and then there should be best animated picture.
And if we're going to go by the fact that animated is completely different, then we should only nominate movies that do not use any digital effects whatsoever for best picture, because every one of these movies in some way uses digital effects.
Yeah,
in some way, whether it be barely anything or just touching things up or completely creating an entire world like Dune. These movies all use visual effects in some way. And if we're not going to count animated features, we should hit a hard line in the sand that way too. You know,
that's the other thing with the animated feature is it almost feels like, what's the Disney or Pixar movie that came out this year?
Well, that's the thing. I'm looking at the nominees. We got Encanto, we have Luca, we have Raya and the Last Dragon, and then there is Flea, which is Flee, and then The Mitchells versus the Machines. I'm going to just go ahead and throw it out there to the world. Anybody, tell me what Flea or The Mitchells versus the Machines is. Anybody. Literally anyone can tell me, and I guarantee it's going to take a while for somebody to tell me what they are without Googling.
Now, Ross, I'm sure you know what my pick is.
Raya and the Last Dragon.
A movie that's not nominated.
Oh, it's probably Mugen Train, right?
Yeah.
Demon Slayer, yeah. Yeah, but still, like, why not that? Why not that? Like, it's the most like successful animated movie of the year. Why not at least make that a qualifying factor?
Even if you choose not to do animated, which I don't see why you wouldn't nominate for animated movie, but foreign film. Why was it not nominated for best foreign film? Because it's the most successful foreign film in America ever.
Right.
Ever.
You know why it wasn't? Because it's anime, and that shit is cartoons, and the Academy will never recognize it as being an actual movie because it's an extension of a television show.
Even though the animation in it, I would argue, is better than the anime. Like, I think it's more visually pleasing to look at than the 3D animations for Disney and Pixar at the moment.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Luca and Encanto kind of all both look the same. Like, they have very similar character designs, and it's one is more about Colombia, one's about Italy. You know, it's and one's sea monsters. The one's magic. They're the same fucking movie.
Now you did get, of the nominated movies, you did guess which one I would pick for the winner. Raya in the Last Dragon.
Yeah, it looks like they're about to give that award out right now too. So we'll have it live on Thursday.
I'm willing to bet Encanto wins, but Raya and the Last Dragon would be my pick.
Well, I'm looking to see who's hugging who here, and I'm just seeing a bunch of white people, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it's not Encanto. But I don't see Lin-Manuel Miranda. I just see a bunch of white people they're not popping anything up because why would they? We're not trying to say who's going on here. But yeah, I am willing to bet it is Encanto. Looks like Encanto won. So good for them. Another Disney win.
Fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's another Disney win. It's Disney or Pixar. You know, it wasn't going to be Flea or the Mitchells versus whatever the fuck.
Occasionally, like, that's what the best animated picture is. It's whatever the most popular Disney or Pixar movie is, with the occasional upset from a Studio Ghibli movie.
Or Shrek to start it all off.
Yeah.
Goddamn Shrek.
That's like,
there's just so much about that. And then you mentioned like the why doesn't animated get nominated for Best Picture? Why doesn't a performance, and it didn't happen obviously this year, but I'm just going to mention, why doesn't something like Andy Serkis as Caesar in Planet of the Apes or as Gollum get a nomination for Best Actor? Why not? Because he was the motion capture for the character? No, dude was acting in that motion capture. When you watch those new Planet of the Apes movies, he is Caesar. Yeah. You forget that you're watching a computer version of a monkey. You think you're watching a real monkey, and it is tough to forget. Why? Because of Andy Serkis. The man needs his own fucking award simply for being amazing himself, let alone a Best Actor award, which he deserved at least twice in my eyes.
Now, it's crazy because, like, with the animated thing, on the other side of the coin, there are the Crunchyroll's Anime Awards that happen in February. Now, they will not include any not Asian origin animated shows.
Okay, where are those held? Because that should have been your background.
They are in California, I think.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're in LA somewhere, yeah, or San Francisco, yeah.
But yeah, like the big thing this year was people thought Arcane should have been nominated for some of the animated show awards, but because it's an adaptation of a video game made by an American animation company, it was not nominated for any awards.
Right. Now, again, speaking of, oh my God, I'm looking at whatever they're doing right now on screen, and it involves a countdown of some sort of action scenes, I guess. The most recent, it's number top 5. Number 5 was from The Matrix from 1999 for some reason. And then they have the 3 Spider-Men swinging into action in No Way Home. That's number 2. Number 1 is the Flash at the end of it. I don't think it's the Snyder cut. I think it's the actual, like the original one, like the 2017 Justice League of the Flash doing something. So I'm guessing they were doing some sort of effects thing. But let's talk about that. Why? And I know they're doing it at some point. They've fallen to popular opinion, and they've given them the popular Oscar category. It's a fan vote. It means nothing. No one gets anything from it. It's just garbage from the Academy trying to please people on the internet. But still, why isn't something like, let's say, Spider-Man No Way Home or Shang-Chi or The Matrix Resurrections, why isn't something like that nominated for more than just effects? You know,
Matrix Resurrections just wasn't good.
Well, Matrix Resurrections was better than it should have been, and it's better than half the Best Picture movies. Half of the Best Picture movies. And I would go so far as to say it's better than about 8 of them.
But I'm in agreement with Shang-Chi and Spider-Man No Way Home.
My point is the popular part of it. Why aren't they nominated for something more than just effects? You know, or just makeup or costumes? Mm-hmm. Is it because the Marvel movies are made in a literal green warehouse? Is that it? Like, do you need to have a physical set to actually do this? No.
They would never do it, but I think Suicide Squad should have been nominated.
The Suicide Squad should have been nominated. Not the one that actually won an Oscar for effects. Yeah. That god-awful piece of crap. But no. But yeah, again, why not that? These are movies that people enjoyed. They're movies that people saw, you know? Again, looking at you, Don't Look Up with your 791,000 box office, your Drive My Car with your 3.1 million box office, even King Richard and Nightmare Alley combined $54 million at the box office. Combined. That's absurd to me. And then Licorice Pizza, 21.3. People can't stop raving about it, yet no one saw it. It's
so
fucking
Nightmare
insane.
Alley, I think, is another one that's the box office is more of an issue of the theater industry outside of Marvel and Disney is just not doing that well.
Well, that's because Marvel's taken over. Marvel has completely destroyed anything original coming through the cinema because no one's going to go see something like Nightmare Alley by a guy like Guillermo del Toro because they either know they've heard of previous films he's done and be like, well, he's a weird guy. He makes weird movies. It's like, well, he makes beautiful and creative movies is what he does.
Guillermo del Toro is one of my all-time favorite directors. And
he's amazing. He makes some of the most original shit out there. Even when he's adapting something like Hellboy, it's an original adaptation of it.
Oh, yeah. When he did the, what's Hellboy 2, Golden Army or something?
Yeah.
That was a total passion project for him.
Absolutely.
Now, granted, I'm not huge on fish fucking.
You heard it here first, folks. Mike, not huge on fish fucking. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I'm not either.
But we are pro spectrophilia.
Right. Yeah. And again, waiting to hear from you people, you cannibals and spectrophiliacs. You necrophiliacs, stay in your lane. I don't want to hear from you.
Now I will hear the debate of if it is the ghost of a dead person possessing their corpse to have sex with you. I'm curious. I don't know where that falls on the grayscale, but it seems consensual, so I guess it's fine.
Yeah, as long as the ghost is into it, you know, that's the important part.
Because that's the real difference between necrophilia and spectrophilia. Spectrophilia,
you have
to, like, a human's not initiating sex with a ghost. The ghost has to initiate.
Yeah, it's all consent. You know, it's Neon Demon versus the Blowjob Demon Ghostbusters. You know, it's really, they are two different things. You know, but like again, we mentioned Nightmare Alley and the acting in that phenomenal. Again, Guillermo del Toro's world is incredibly realized and it's amazing.
And I think it is a beautiful looking movie. So
it looks awesome. And
it would absolutely be my pick for best cinematography.
Absolutely. If it doesn't win, Dune should win. You know, it's something like that.
Or and it's even also my pick for like the best original screenplay.
Yeah, because it is based off a book. I think there is an original book because nothing is wholly original anymore, but
Yeah.
it is based off a book. I'm fairly certain. But
all right, so if that's not in the original screenplay, if it's best adaptive screenplay, then I think Dune wins best adapted
yeah,
screenplay.
absolutely. But
Then I guess original screenplay, I'd probably go with Belfast, I guess.
yeah, I mean, it's Kenneth Branagh again. Belfast was fine, but I think Branagh should have at least, even though it was short, this is where like the running time does work against it, because give him another half an hour. I'm willing to bet we can add a little bit more lived in experience of the troubles in Northern Ireland of the time, instead of just two scenes where a little bit of rioting happens. There was a lot more going on and a lot more could have been shown, but it could have been a little bit more grisly. But I think he was going for a more feel goodish type of story for that. It tells the story, but it doesn't tell the story, so everyone can see it and not feel bad.
That's Belfast. It's fine. It's not great, but I think of the best picture nominees, it's probably third best or so.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Kenneth Branagh, I would have no problem. I wouldn't have a problem with it winning. I just wouldn't, I wouldn't necessarily agree.
I feel like Dune is so far away the correct choice this year.
Absolutely, which is why it won't win.
Yeah.
Because recently, aside from Parasite, the Academy's given that award to the people that don't deserve it, to movies that simply don't deserve it. Green Book being the biggest offender of that. And once you give a movie like Green Book the best picture, you effectively render every decision you make after that completely irrelevant. Just completely irrelevant. You have shown yourself to be completely out of touch with literally everything ever. And you do not deserve to continue giving out little gold men to people.
Which is why we're here, because we're telling you the real Oscar.
We are. So now, Mike, let's get into it. Your best picture of 2021. What was it?
Dune, and it's not close.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's really all it is. I would go so far as to add either I had my issues with Spider-Man No Way Home, but I would also add something like the Suicide Squad in as well. Because
I would even go so far as Shang-Chi, because I think the action sequences in that movie are so incredible.
That should be and it's a little more MTV movie awardsy, but that should be a category in and of itself. Best action scene, or like best action choreography.
Choreography, I think, is an Oscar way of putting,
right.
They really thought out this fight scene.
Yeah, and to have Simu Liu going through that train, it's amazing. That is a great scene. It is a phenomenal scene. And even though it's all cartoons in Spider-Man No Way Home, it's all computer generated, I don't think Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, or Tobey Maguire actually did anything when it regards to Spider-Man in action. But
now I do think Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire should have got nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah. Just Garfield in general, because he was just so good in that. It was such a redeeming role, and Hollywood loves a redemption story. They should have given it to him, or that his role as Peter Parker coming back in No Way Home should get him the Best Actor award, for Tick, Tick, Boom. Just give it to him for that. Be like, here, we're giving it to you officially for this movie, but we all know it's really for Spider-Man, for being so good as Spider-Man. But if I'm looking at that, and then I'm looking at the Suicide Squad, which again, redemption story, a comeback tale, a redoing of a Oscar-winning movie, but doing it the right way, and in a way that people actually
movie.
Right, yeah. Well, it is an official award, but it's not one of the good ones, But it's an award when it's a movie that people enjoyed. It spun off a fantastic television show in Peacemaker, but the whole movie makes sense, and it tells a story from beginning to end. It's action packed, it's creative, it's an adaptation, which the Oscars love, but it's an adaptation of a comic book. So I guess right there that defeats the purpose because look at that. It's for the masses, you know? Now, granted, do I wish that Marvel and DC maybe didn't have such an effect on the world, filmmaking scene? Yes. I wish a lot less movies were franchises. I do. Yeah. I wish movies could just be original movies and standalone stories like nowadays. But which is ironic because my favorite movie of 2022, which I think I should be Best Picture, is The Batman. Next year, we should be talking about that movie being Best Picture, and I don't care who else is nominated. I do not care if they bring long dead actors back to life to make the greatest movies they've ever made. The Batman.
You are clearly forgetting the true Best Picture of this year, which is Jackass Forever.
Dude, I just watched that the other day. I was laughing my ass off the whole time. And I thought, like, there's only, you know how, like, at a certain point, you're like, I can see a guy get hit in the nuts only so many times before it stops being funny. But then the cup test happened in that movie. And I was right back. I was like, yep, hit him again.
Well, also because Danger Aaron is one of the bitchiest members of the Jackass.
It's so funny. And then of course when they put the honey and the shit on him, and then they released the bear into the room, and then the trainer's like freaking out, like, I gotta get in there. He's going to die.
My favorite was when they had him in like the dark room and were just screwing with them.
Yeah, that was good when Johnny Knoxville was throwing like the big tarantula on him, like the big fake tarantula.
Fun fact: Chris Pontius has the most full frontal male nudity on screen.
Dude, that opening sequence, when it started, I was like, that looks like a dick. And then they showed what it was. I was like, oh shit, that is a dick. I was like, that's just dick dressed up as Godzilla. What do you know?
Yeah.
But then again, like, you look at something like that. Why isn't that nominated? Why isn't that like it should at least get a stunts award? I know there are stuntman Oscars that should win because all those dudes have like by default become stuntmen from doing these things. These movies.
Their job is literally perform stunts wrong.
Right, exactly. But yet somehow still live,
Yeah.
But
I was reading a review for that, and someone posted something like, it's like, is it high art? No. But inherently watching a guy get hit in the nuts is freaking funny.
It's so good. I mean, and just like the creativity they do to come up with some of the things that they do, it's like, wait, okay, so what are we going to do? All right, we're going to put Steve-O and Machine Gun Kelly on two stationary bikes that power these big hands that go back, and then we'll slap them off the bikes into a pool. It was like, okay, let's do it. That's a great creative idea.
I get to watch Machine Gun Kelly get slapped off a bike into a pool. Hell yeah.
Well, that was the best part. You caught the fact that his bike powered his own hand, right? It was supposed to be the opposite, but for him, it powered his own hand. I was like, but that's like that little, like those little tricks right there. That's what the Jackass guys do so well. Like, they make you think it's going to be one thing, and then it's something completely different.
My all-time favorite Jackass stunt is it was in Jackass 3D.
I don't remember Jackass 3D. It's been a while.
But it's the stunt where they just have a giant hand that gets pulled back behind the door, and as people walk in, it just swings around and slaps the shit out of them.
Could you imagine
one guy to bring in soup?
Right.
Johnny Knoxville laughing and saying, he fell for the soup is one of my all-time favorite movie quotes.
The best thing is like seeing Johnny Knoxville laughing at your pain. And yet for some reason you're still like, this dude loves me. And like I know he's having fun with me. It's like just the fact that these dudes are almost dying all the time, and yet they're laughing at each other's pain and they're loving it still. And I think we're about to get the best supporting actor I'm looking at right now. And it's between, a whole bunch of people in movies that no one gives a shit about.
I'm rooting for J.K. Simmons or Karen Hines.
Well, it looks like whoever's presenting it is taking her sweet ass time delivering the winner. And it went to the dude from Coda. It went to the dude from Coda, who everyone's applauding for, though he can't hear it. So way to be sensitive, Hollywood. Way to be sensitive. But I mean, I guess you got to give the Disney Channel some shit. Apple TV can say, "Hey, one of our movies won an Oscar." Yeah. Oh, wait. All the people that are famous are doing the jazz hand sign for applause, but everyone else is just straight up applauding. So
yeah.
Only part of the room got the memo that the deaf guy might not be able to hear you.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an interesting speech. Is he going to sign the speech? I bet he is, because he just handed off his award. So there's that.
Oh, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. But yep, here he goes. He's signing it. Okay, but I can't hear it. I have it on mute, so I'm hoping someone's actually translating it. It would be so good though if they just had him signing his acceptance speech and just like figure it out, assholes.
Now that would be funny. But what I would really like to believe they do is force James Earl Jones to learn sign language so he could be the transcriber.
Dude, that would be great. Just this fucking deep ass voice coming out. It's like skinny white guy in his weird like Peaky Blinders hat. But they do. I just turned the volume on real quick. They do have an announcer translating or doing the signing. So at least there's that. But so I mean, but it's something like the most popular movie, at least not necessarily blockbuster, like box office wise, but just movie that people talk about the most. Why isn't that nominated? You know,
now, I will say the one year that did happen was Joker got nominated, and I don't like. It's not that I don't like Joker; it's that I feel like it is extraordinary. Like people saw it and were like, "There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it." I'm like, "Yeah, you never saw the King of Comedy."
Heath Ledger's Joker, anything else involving a movie. But yeah,
I did think Joaquin Phoenix was definitely a strong contender for Best Actor, because I thought he was the only extraordinary part of that movie. I thought the movie itself was average outside of his performance.
Yeah, and that's why they gave it to him, because he did the standard punish your body to look physically emaciated like he did for the character and go method and all that shit. All the reasons why anybody gets nominated for being in a movie. It's the reason why DiCaprio ended up winning, because he almost died being eaten by a bear.
Well, that one I'm still like, they're like, yeah, you've come in like second place for Oscar winners so many times. We should just give you one.
Right. And that's exactly what it is. And that's why Will Smith is nominated. It's why Judi Dench got nominated. All of these things, especially Judi Dench and Kieran Hines. It's like, how much longer will we have them? We can at least give them an Oscar while they're alive. It's like, well, you should have fucking done that before they got old,
Yeah.
It's like they have done roles that they deserved Oscars for before this night, before they were in their 90s or whatever. And
how old is Kieran Hines? He's one of those guys that I just can't.
I'm sure in his 70s. I'm sure he's not young, but he's not old at the same time.
I guess 60s would be my guess for Kieran Hines.
Yeah, it's just, what are we doing? I mean, there's so much. He is 69. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, he's same birthday as me. I love it. Just a few years before me. But yeah, it's like, why do we do that? Like, why does the Academy do that? Why do they wait till someone's either dead or dying to give them an Oscar? You should have given it to them before. They were clearly a good actor before they were dying. What is your problem, assholes?
Has Andrew Garfield won an Oscar before?
He's been nominated.
I know he's been nominated.
He was nominated for Silence, I think, last.
He was also nominated for Hacksaw Ridge, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think he's won. He's never won.
I think he deserves to win it this year. He's the star of Tick Tick Boom, which, for those who don't know, is the story of, oh God, why can't I find his name? Uh, John, it's loosely based off of the guy who wrote Ren.
Okay.
So he's like a musical playwright, and the guy wrote this as like a semi-autobiographical musical, and he's essentially playing the guy who wrote Ren, and he's actually like incredible in it, and like it's a really cool movie to watch. It has some awesome musical numbers.
He's a really good actor.
I think he deserves it for this.
Like he's in this movie. I think it's still available on Prime, called Under the Silver Lake, and it's really good. He is really good in it, and it makes his redemption as Peter Parker that much better, because when he got his actual Peter Parker Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man movies, you almost wonder what the hell happened, because
he's
those
clearly
movies,
if you just look at actors that have played Spider-Man, like he's far and away the best actor of the three.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And those movies, his Spider-Man movies, the first one's fine. It's just too long.
Yeah.
The second one is god awful. But you look and you go, what happened? How did he allow that to happen? You know, I guess he's young and coming, has no sway in anything. But still, it's like, he should be like, look, I'm a good actor. We have good actors. Jamie Foxx, Paul Giamatti, they're here. Why is this so bad? You know?
Now, my pitch is, if you're going to bring back the Amazing Spider-Man, we're going to go multiversal here. And we are going to finally get a Spider-Man Deadpool movie starring Andrew Garfield and Ryan Reynolds.
That'd be good. I think I would enjoy that. You know, it's there's just there's so much that, and to tie this in with the Oscars, there's so much about the Academy's choices that famously forever have not made sense, especially as of late have not made sense, because the Academy lately, well deservedly with the backlash, has been accused of whitewashing everything, not nominating people of color, and at more diverse nominations, all that, more diverse film considerations, all of that. And they're stepping on their dick at every turn to try to do it, but they're attempting to make things more inclusive and diverse. But the biggest part about the inclusion that they're failing at is the just popular movies, you know, movies that people have actually fucking paid money.
I really want to like look at it and see like when was the turning point, because you look back and like Jaws won the Oscar, Rocky has won an Oscar, even as recently as like The Departed. People went and saw The Departed.
Yeah, it was like the movie of the year.
Yeah,
you know.
And even what 2012, you had what Argo, Wolf of Wall Street, Dallas Buyers Club. Like people saw them. Like they weren't huge blockbusters. Wolf of Wall Street was, but people saw them.
I think the problem is, and it's also like the double-edged sword of the diversity. By going more diverse, you're bringing in movies like Drive My Car. You're bringing in a movie like Coda, movies that do not have wide distribution. And
I know that is to a benefit sometimes, because like we said with Parasite is an incredible movie, arguably the best movie of like the last 10 years. Like that's a conversation to be had, that might be the best movie of the last 10 years.
Right. And the reason it was considered is because the director himself is a great, well-known director. And
yeah, because he has come to and done like widespread Snowpiercer. We brought up Snowpiercer. He directed Snowpiercer, which was widespread, fairly successful blockbuster movie.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, by going more diverse, you're almost purposely shooting yourself in the foot popularity wise, because you're either alienating the American market or you're alienating the foreign market. You know, by including movies that you can't find in the United States without being in a major city, in an indie theater, in an art house theater, these movies aren't available to stream until the night before the Oscars. That's the biggest problem, that they only make all of these movies available to stream like the week before the Oscars. I attempted, and I think Mike you tried as well, to watch all of the Best Picture nominees.
Yeah.
Coda, Drive My Car. I didn't even notice Drive My Car was on HBO Max until the other night, on Friday. That's 2 days ago. I don't have 3 hours out of my day to dedicate because people have jobs. People have families and activities they want to do. They're not going to sit and watch a 3-hour ponderous ass movie on the ruminations of feelings of grief and death about a man driving his car, listening to his wife read a book or a play. Come on. What are we doing? You got to let people know that movie is available ahead of time and let them watch it, because it's too long and too weirdly alienating plot-wise for people to be like, oh, let's just watch it the night before the Oscars. It's a feel-good family drama. Who cares? No, that's just not how it works. Coda being only available on Apple TV and being considered for an Best Picture Oscar, you're right there. You're telling 90% of streamers that they can't watch it because they don't have Apple TV. Who really has Apple TV out there? Not as many people. The only time
people actually have Apple TV is if they buy a new iPhone and it comes with Apple TV for a year.
Exactly. It's whoever bought the new iPhone 12. They have Apple TV. And if hopefully they're still within the year that they have that free trial, but it's make everything widely available on HBO Max, let's say, or Amazon Prime. Even Netflix, because I know Disney's not going to let everybody put all these movies on. They just recently added the Netflix superhero shows and made me change my parental guidance settings, so I now have a pin in case my daughter for some reason wants to watch Daredevil. She's 3, maybe she'll want to see it. But then there's the fact that
I'm a really good lawyer.
Oh yeah, she'll be fine. Yeah, she'll be fine at least season 1. I think she'll love the whole.
I'm a really good lawyer though.
I am a really good lawyer. Yeah, right there. If we're going to nominate Judi Dench in Belfast, let's nominate fucking Charlie Cox and Spider-Man No Way Home for that scene. That was just great. But it's just amazing to me that these movies, and that's the problem with all of them and the Oscars in general, all of the movies that get nominated are movies that no one can see. And I don't mean no one wants to see. I mean no one can see. These movies are never available. Because I always get those
art house releases where they're only available at smaller theaters in big cities. Like your local AMC, likely you could not go see Drive My Car. I'm willing to bet.
Yeah, until like the weekend before the Oscars when they make it available twice, at 3 p.m. on a Friday and then 2 p.m. on a Saturday. They're not getting primetime slots, but at the same time, we live right outside of Philadelphia, arguably one of the bigger second-tier cities in the country. It's not New York, it's not LA, but it is a Chicago, it's a Philly, it's almost a DC. Mm-hmm. We're not seeing Drive My Car in theaters around here. We can go into Philly and try to find an art house theater that shows it, but I guarantee we won't. You go to New York, everyone's going to show it. Every art house theater is showing it. In Hollywood, every theater is showing it. And that's the problem. And I understand the argument coming from the middle of the country that they feel left out. Well, yeah, I get it. But it's the same thing. People should be the Academy should be looking at what the middle of the country likes, which is, guess what? The majority of the American population. Guess what they liked? The popular movie. Put Spider-Man No Way Home in there. You nominated Black fucking Panther, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Get Spider-Man No Way Home in there. You nominated The Dark Knight.
Or Shang-Chi. If you really want to go, the whole diversity route, Shang-Chi, fine.
And that ticks a lot of boxes right there. Get your popular vote, get your Asian diversity, and then I'll just say women, because Awkwafina is a mainer character. I don't know. But it's there's so much that needs to change with the Academy itself when it comes to, if anything, baby steps wise, just Best Picture. Just at least make 2 of the Best Picture nominees movies that people enjoyed and saw. Right there, we got Dune, we got Spider-Man No Way Home. Just put those 2 on there. If they're not going to win, they're not going to win, because there's always the nominees that are just nominated because let's nominate them. They have no chance, but let's just nominate them. So why not do it with those movies too? You know, it's because the Academy is so far up their ass that they have to nominate a movie about a gay cowboy that's not really about a gay cowboy. It's about gay cowboys. You know?
And that movie, like, I cannot express how much I disliked that movie.
It's bad when Sam Elliott comes out against Jane Campion, the director's representation of cowboys, and the fact I think he actually said like a woman can't know what a cowboy is. So it's like, yeah, don't agree with that, Sam, but still, I kind of get what you're saying because they filmed this American cowboy movie in New Zealand. What are you doing? Just set it in Montana. You know, we still have areas that look like cowboy areas in this country. Just film it there. Just fucking film it there. You know, I don't care what tax breaks Peter Jackson got you. Just film it in the United States, you bitch.
And that, even like Spider-Man No Way Home, like if you go on Rotten Tomatoes, the score
should be in like the 80s or 90s, right? It should be up there.
Critics' consensus: a bigger, bolder Spider-Man sequel, No Way Home, expands the franchise's scope and stakes without losing sight of its humor and heart. Like that, and then audience packed with action, emotion, and surprises. Spider-Man No Way Home is a franchise fan service at its finest. Like, boom, should at least get a nomination.
Fan service. It's for fans. I mean, Spider-Man is a universally like beloved character. Like Mickey Mouse, Michael Jordan, you know, if these people everywhere can relate to something involving them, and he's one of the most famous superheroes ever, why not nominate his best movie in a long time as Best Picture? For fuck's sake.
And that also brings up the with the animated movies. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse should have just been nominated for Best Picture in general.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Again, you nominated Black Panther. Why not? But it's a shame. And rather than allow this episode to go on as long as the Oscars, we should probably wrap it up because we've talked about pretty much everything involving the Best Picture nominees that we did. We talked about what we thought should win. We're not going to know until, even though they cut out 15 categories, we're still not going to know until 3 a.m. what wins Best Picture anyway.
We didn't do any beer checking, so I think we should do one more beer check back before we close out. So I really like my Galloping Ghosts. I finished about 2.5 throughout the last hour and a half or so. It's a really good Scotch ale, 7.3%. Very nice drink.
Yeah, and I got my my Zed's beer, my Zed's on the Front Porch American Lager, and it's again, it's great because Zed's is great. The two I've had are great, and yeah, there you go. Get it right in front of your face, Mike. There you go.
Yeah, make sure the can is visible.
Yeah, there you go, right there. But yeah, it's great. I mean, Zed's makes some great beer, and I just happened to glance at the TV. They had that a commercial for the unbearable weight of massive talent. The Nick Cage, sure to be Best Picture nominee next year.
I cannot wait for that movie.
I can't either. It looks so good. I just love the fact that the TV commercial or the in-theater commercial we saw that has I'm Nick friggin', like it's censored. You know, I can't wait to see what he actually says in the movie. But yeah, so it's, I would say semi-live from LA, but yet not live from LA. Dressed like we're live from LA, I think.
You too can dress as snazzy as me with one of these Happy Hour Film t-shirts.
That's right. Yeah. If anybody's interested in getting t-shirts, we'll get more. We've had a few made, but we'll definitely get more. Mike, so people know what to do with us when they see us now that they've seen our beautiful faces and they want to hear more of us. Where can they find us on the internet?
All right. So for your streaming pleasure, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, and just about anywhere else you get your podcasts from. You find us on social media at Happy Hour Films Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And now you can find us on YouTube at Happy Hour Films Podcast.
Hey, there we go. So as opposed to just having our one episode from the Monmouth County Memes crossover where you could randomly stumble across our faces on YouTube, now you might actually be able to find us where we tell you to find us. So on our own YouTube page. So that's probably it for the best for our Oscar episode. Next week we are going to be starting a new theme, and we have actually decided what it's going to be. Like before we did this Oscar theme last week, we didn't know what we were going to do, but now we have. We are going to be doing some lesser trilogies for the month of April. I guess an April Fools of lesser trilogies.
And if you don't know, we have already covered some of the biggest trilogies of all time back in January of 2021.
Yeah, that was last year. And also, Mike, I forgot to say congratulations to us. We passed the 100 episode mark like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, shit.
I didn't even pay attention, but I will say this may be our 100th episode, because I think if you don't count our first two shitty episodes, we're at 100.
Which is perfect. We're celebrating with a video.
We are live in LA for our 100th episode.
Ignore the couch that appears near my arm.
Yeah, whenever we do something too fast, and you might see the background, who knows? But all right, so until that time next week when we see you talk about some lesser trilogies, I have been Ross Bacon.
I've been Mike McWigan,
and we are signing off live from LA. Happy Hour Films at the Oscars. See you guys next week.